Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading. Today is May the 31st, 2021. Today I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500 SPX, some targets to the upside and to the downside, and where I see it going heading into tomorrow. I'm also going to be looking at some of our watch list names, which includes AMC, a retest of 36, which was all-time highs last week. We're going to look at some targets for AMC. Nvidia had great earnings last week and made a push up to all-time highs at that 650 mark. So we're going to look at those. We're also going to be looking at Tesla, retesting key areas at 650 and 665. Touch up on Zoom and CGC, both have earnings on Tuesday. We're also going to be looking at BYND and its sizable bounce that it's had at that $100 mark, along with BA in a continued move higher to that 250, 260 resistance zone. But before I get started, guys, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and comment on the comment section if you want any names reviewed heading into next week. And if you see anything that strikes you, please give it a comment, and also be sure to head over to thewealthymentor.net if you want to join our Discord group. It offers a great trading experience where we do day trading. We also have swing trading targets along with market analysis, analyst upgrades, and the whole 9 yards. Whether you're a novice or a pro, it's definitely something that you should look into, and will only benefit you. All right, guys, thank you. And as you guys can see here, we have the SPX chart open, and not much happening last week. We did inch a little higher up to that 42.20 zone, which was resistance, right? And now we see ourselves right near that sandwich between 42.10 and 4200 psychological resistance. Pretty much the same thing as last week. We're going to be looking at 42.10 as a breaking point. We're going to be looking at that. So if that were to break, targets would be 42.20 and 42.30. We also have highs, all-time highs around that 42.38 area. So if we do break 42.38, look for a push above that for our third target at 42.50. To the downside, as I mentioned, 4200 is strong support. If that is broken, look for 4180 and 4170, which we did have prior price action in prior weeks where we did respect those levels. If we do see continued weakness, look for 4150 as another key area for support, as we've had here back on May the 21st, 2021. Right? Currently, my views on SPX, still bullish. The trend is your friend, and right now the trend is still pointing higher. We're grinding slowly, but bulls are still in control because we are holding those key levels. And what I like to see is us stay above 4200. Okay, so that is SPX on the 30-minute chart and my overall outlook. First name I want to look at that is part of our swing trading watch list is AMC. AMC has been pretty bullish, and last week was a huge indicator. And as you can see here, we did push above that $36 area, beating my targets above 26, 28, 30. A lot of great price action with AMC to both sides. As you can see, we did hit 36 and we did come back down to 26. So big percentage moves up and down. Targets to the upside going into tomorrow, I am looking at a break above 2650. 2650, I am looking at a target of 2850. So that's my first take profit area. My second take profit area would be that $30 mark. If you are more of a safe trader and you like to get past, you want to pass up on this chop, definitely look above that $30 area. As we can see here, we got rejected once, and since the big push up to 36, we haven't been able to push back up. So $30 would be a good area for me to enter at. So a break above 30, and not just a break above 30. What you want to see is convincing volume. Also, analyst upgrade, that would be great. And you want to see if market conditions are great. So those three things you should be always looking at prior to entry of a key area being broken. So if you are a safe trader, look for that $30 mark to break for 33 and 36 as your targets. To the downside, 24 is support. If 24 is broken, I would look for 21.50 as my first take profit. And my second take profit, which we did have some strong support here, is at that $18 mark. And as you guys can see here, we did hold 18 before some volume came in right here and pushed us higher above that. And as you guys can see, the rest is history. We did push to 36. Looking for a continued move next week. So that is AMC on the 30-minute time frame. Another name I'm going to be looking at is NVDA. As you guys can see, we did have strong earnings last week, and we did trend sideways from that 630 to 620 area before we finally broke out on Friday with convincing volume above that 630 area, and we finally hit targets of 640 and 650. We also made all-time highs. So I am still pretty bullish on Nvidia. I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram post where I netted about $1,200 profit. It was pretty easy play, you know. I mentioned previously that 630 was a key area as resistance, and we finally got that volume to push us higher. Going into next week, I am looking at a break above 650. We are in price discovery, meaning we haven't hit these areas yet. However, targets do tend to get filled at even numbers, and people love even numbers. So that's why I have a target of 660 and 670 as my overhead. We also going to have another target here at 680. And the reason why I'm so bullish on NVDA for a few things. One, it has had analyst upgrades that were pretty bullish, a few above the $700 mark. So that's the reason why I'm looking above that 650 for these three targets right here of 660, 670, 680. We also have a stock split. You know, most of the times that wouldn't be a bullish factor, but the way that market psychology has been going in the past year on names like Tesla and Apple, people do like these stock splits, and it is a bullish factor. So I am looking at 660, 670, 680 going into next week. If we do not hit those targets, we have strong support at that 630 mark. I would like to see 640 hold. If 640 cannot hold, I would look for 630 as my first take profit target, and my second take profit target would be that 620 mark, which we did have a bunch of consolidation here during earnings, after earnings. So those two areas are key for me for support, 630 and 620. Okay, pretty bullish on Nvidia, and I do envision this thing going to $700. Another name that I want to look at, Tesla. You can't go a week without Tesla. Here is Tesla on the 30-minute time frame. I am going to switch over here to the 4-hour time frame to give you guys a better overview. And as I mentioned earlier, to start off this stream, 640 and 650 are key areas for me. And the reason being is that we did have a breakdown area right here at that 665 mark. And that 650 mark is a key level of resistance. So going into next week, first things first, I would like to see 630 break, 630, 632, I would say. If you want to be a little safer, look for 640 to break. Above 640, I am looking at 650, which is a key take profit area. Big long wicks down here, touch to that support. Old support is now resistance. So 650, target number one. Above 650 with convincing volume, I'm looking at 665, which was the big long 4-hour drop down candle right here. So those two areas are key for me, 650 and 665 to the upside. Those are my targets. But as I mentioned, first things first, a 632 entry would be optimal. We did receive a couple of rejections here on the 4-hour time frame. So keep that in mind before you enter. Look for volume to confirm entry, and also look for key catalysts, as I mentioned prior. Now to the downside, if we cannot get past that 630 mark, 620 is support. I would not short at support. I would look for 608 to break. If 608 were to break, I'm looking at 600 as my target number one. And if things get ugly, sorry, 585 is your target number 2 to the downside. And, you know, Tesla looks pretty good on my end. We've had a bounce here from that 550 mark, and we're currently at 630. So, you know, the trend is your friend. And if the bounce is still underway and it's still pushing higher, those targets of 650 and 665 is what you should be looking at. All right. That is Tesla, and I am still bullish on Tesla going into next week. Another name that has earnings, which is on Tuesday, and that is after the bell, is Zoom Video, ZM. Zoom, you know, was a pretty strong stock during the pandemic. We still are in one. The reason for that was because work at home. You know, a lot of people were using Zoom for work at home, and a lot of people are still into the pandemic right now, and continue to be. So going into next week, tomorrow, keep in mind, guys, today, Monday, was a long weekend. So tomorrow is the first day for the markets to be open. So what I'm going to be looking at is the break above 342. 342 has been strong resistance here, guys. As you can see here, March 25th, rejection. Once more here, buyers try to push it all the way up to the resistance zone on April the 1st, rejection. Once more here, the 13th of April, and again on the 27th of April, all resulted in rejections, and finally bears stepped in and pushed the price down all the way to 270 mark. We do have a bounce here, and to me, this is just a dead cat bounce unless we pass these areas, which is 342. That would be my entry point. Not exactly at 342, as you guys can see here, we did push a little higher. So what you want to see here at 342, 345 is strong volume. Look here, guys, look at all this weak volume. Nothing too convincing. What you want to see is something like this over here. So 342, a break above that. I'm looking at 356, which is a key area for me because we did have resistance here. So if 342 were to break, my target number 1, 356, and my target number 2 would be that 366 area. Okay, and on an earnings beat, it can definitely push up all the way above 374. So keep that in mind for next week. To the downside, if we do disappoint on earnings, we do have 325 as support. Below that, I am looking at target number 1, which I haven't drawn here, is 315. Right here, right? Your target number 1, if 325 were to break, would be that 315 mark. If 315 can't hold, 305 would be your target number 2. And if we do see weakness on earnings, definitely looking for 290 and 280 area to get broken and get hit. Okay, so that is Zoom on the 4-hour time frame. I am not bullish on Zoom. This is a continued downtrend ever since we've hit all-time highs. And to me, this is still a dead cat bounce, as I mentioned, unless we break 342 and 356. Okay, that is Zoom on the 4-hour time frame. Next name that I'm going to be looking at heading into next week that also has earnings tomorrow on open is CGC. And this is one of our names in the marijuana sector that we currently have at Wealthy Mentor Trading on Discord. So an area that I'm going to be looking at is that $30 mark, $30, because we have been in a downtrend since that 56, and it's a staircase pattern down, right? One pattern here, another pattern down, here, here, and ultimately down here. Now, to break this, I am looking at that $30 mark as my first confirmation. If 30 were to break, 32.61 would be my target number 1. 36.50 would be my target number 2. If you do want to see a trend change, a big trend change, look for that 36.50 area because we do have strong resistance up there. If that were to break, 41.5 and 45 would be your targets. Also keep in mind, guys, names like this, CGC and the rest of the marijuana sector, this is one of the key leaders of that sector in the marijuana sector. So if this were to run and has strong earnings, look for names like ACB, HEXO, What's another one? APHA, names like that also tend to move higher when one name like CGC, for example, moves higher. Now, to the downside, and let's just say, marijuana sector doesn't do so good and CGC bombs, look for 2250 as your key support. If that were to break $18, which we did have price consolidation here on November the 5th, 2020, that would be your target number one. And if things get really ugly, $14.50, $15 mark, which we did have some lows here on September the 30th, 2020, would be your target number two. All right. So that is CGC on the 4-hour time frame, and they report tomorrow at open. Another name that I want to look at is BYND. BYND is a new addition to our watch list. It's under our daily watch list, and the reason for that is because we've had a sizable bounce here at that $100 mark, and we've pushed all the way up to that 155 mark. Now, going into next week, we did close at 142. I am again looking at that 155 mark as an area of importance for me. Multiple wicks right here, guys. These all show that buyers weren't strong enough to break above this, and these are all rejections. And these rejections happened back on February and March. So here we are again, trying to retest that, and again, similar results. So heading into next week, I'm going to be looking to see if that area does break. And if it does break, I am looking at 163 and 167 as my take profit targets. However, if this is similar to a bounce that we had back in February and March, we definitely are going to be looking at areas at 138 as key support. We did have a hard time breaking it here, right? Which was resistance, now turned support. So 138.50 is strong support. If that were to break, that would be your confirmation number one. Your confirmation number two, and the area where you would short, would be that 136.50 mark. If 136.50 were to break, we do have 133 as your target number one, and that 129 to 127 area as your target number two. Okay, I'm neutral on BYND because that 155 mark is a key level for me. Quickly looking at the one-day chart to give you guys a better outlook. Okay. Trying to get this situated here. So as you guys can see here, multiple days here, unable to break that 155 mark. So, like I said, this could be one of those big bounces, which was pretty sizable, but it's all for nothing if we can't get past that 156 mark. Okay, so that is BYND and my outlook looking for next week. Another name, and the final name that I'm going to be looking at today is Boeing. Boeing is one of those frustrating ones where, it pulls a lot of Houdini acts. Let's just say that. Here is BA on the one-day time frame, and if you guys guessed, I am looking at that 250, 259, 260 area as a level for me to enter at. We tried to push up on it here on April the 1st, got rejected. Once more here, it wasn't even a strong push up, and it got rejected again on April the 14th, and we have been trending down since then. We did find a strong bounce here at that 220 level. Now, Boeing and the openings of borders and less restrictions and people flying more, there's going to be bullish action, bullish movement. So going into tomorrow, 250 is your first area to look at. If 250 were to break, 260 would your take profit area, and I highly suggest you take profit at 260 because, like I said, we've had a couple of rejections here. You could always enter if there's strong volume above the 260 mark, and above that we have 268, which would be my take profit number two. And if things get really bullish, 275 here would be your third take profit. Now, to the downside. And if this is just a bounce and a head down lower, I am looking at that 242 mark as support, right? 244 would be your first confirmation. Your second confirmation, 242.5. And if that were to break, 237, 234 would be areas of support, which we can also take profits on a short position going down. Now, if we do see continued weakness, look for these areas to be retested again at that 226, 220 mark. Okay. I am impartial on Boeing, neutral, just because this is one of those stocks that's kind of very hard to predict and trade for. So I'm personally staying away from it until I see that 260 mark break. All right, guys, those are the names I wanted to highlight. Again, AMC, potential 36 retest, got to get past that $30 mark. Nvidia, strong earnings last week, hit all-time highs on Friday. I'm looking for a continued move, a lot of analyst upgrades, and it's been very bullish. Even Wall Street bets. It's one of the top trending stocks. Food for thought. Tesla, nice sizable bounce, looking at that 650, 665 mark. Zoom, earnings. CGC, earnings. Look for other marijuana stocks to follow through if CGC were to pull off a strong earning. BYND, sizable bounce off that $100 mark, looking for a continued move higher. And as I discussed right here, BA, looking at that $260 mark. All right, guys, thank you so much. Be sure to like this video, comment, and tell me what you want to see next week. And give me suggestions on what you guys like. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Bye.